They say games are played on the field and not on paper, and that's a good thing. Because if this one were played on paper, it might get ugly. But you never know what's going to happen. Welcome, everyone, to the home of the Arizona State Sun Devils, Mountain America Stadium in Tempe. As we'll see a team looking for its first win, the Iowa Hawkeyes. Taking on a team that ranks in the top 5 in this conference, the Arizona State Sun Devils. For EA Sports College Football, Reese Davis with you alongside David Pollack and Jesse Palmer. And guys, can't wait to get this one started. The Sun Devils will kick it away to start us off. And he's not going to take a knee. Here he comes. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. On the run, it's Moulton. Breaks the tackle. Didn't find a lot of room. Let's give him 2 out to the 20. It can get pretty wild in the Big 12. Some of these outposts are like snake pits when you have to go on the road. Got to get off to a quick start in conference play.
It is always wacky, Reese. Like, there's always something that happens in the Big 12, and somebody comes out of nowhere in the Big 12 every single year. So, starting in conference play, Palmer, these games start to really matter, really add up, and the pressure amplifies.
It's so true, too. Think about the Big 12 conference. It just seems like teams get caught sleepwalking. So, you've got to start fast. And the challenge, I think, for these coaching staffs, these two teams, every week they've got to have.
And the pressure gets there. And down he goes at the 18.
Third down defense is so pivotal in a football game. In this third down, nice job. Good coverage in the back end, but the rush gets home, forcing the 4th down. Nice start for this defense.
Punt is on its way. Looks it in at the 40. He gets a block. Little pressure on the coverage team there, and they'll stop him at the 47-yard line. The give to the tailback. Not much running room there thanks to this senior defender.
And you want to run the football. That's okay. You'll take some of these. But if they start to add up down the road, obviously, you might want to think about airing it out a little bit.
Didn't get much on first down. It's 2nd and 9. From the gun, the running back tries to hit the hole. And they'll stop him after a minimal pickup.
And, man, the big fellas up front, they don't get a lot of credit. They don't get talked about a lot unless it's negative, but they're the big component, man. They've got to get some push, to get some running lanes, get this running game going. They're the ones that make it go.
Back to pass, it's Levin. Can't make the connection on 3rd down thanks to that tough, hard-nosed pass defense, and now it's 4th down. And the Sun Devils send out the punt unit. He ought to be able to use his first punt to pin him deep. Excellent coverage that time. Didn't give him any room to set up a big return. Opening play of this drive comes from the 11. On the ground, it's Moulton. And the defense holds firm. No pickup at all on that play.
Man, this defense is setting the tone early. 3 and out on the first drive, and on the first play, the second drive, they get a TFL. They are sending a very clear and distinct message to this offense. They are going to set the tone of this game.
Looking to the big tight end. Got his man on the right. Lots of running room. And they'll do more than move the chains. They'll move that thing more than 30 yards down the field before he's finally stopped.
Well, after that last play, you can see how electrifying this guy is and how special he is after he makes the catch. If I'm on offense, I'm trying to find a lot of ways to get him touches in this game.
Give to the single back. It's a seam wide open. Brought down at the 21-yard line, a 15-yard pickup, and they are in prime position to get points now. And the Hawkeyes come to the line with a fresh set of downs. Leaves it with the back. Brought down after a pickup of 2 to the 19. After picking up a couple at 2nd and 8. Toss sweep to the right. Wide open spaces. Gets out of bounds after the big game, but they've got it 1st and goal.
Well, the offense didn't have the result they wanted on that first drive, having to punt, but they're having a lot more success here on the second drive. They're having some balance, and they're getting a rhythm. I think a big part of that is their ability to run the football. Very, very...
And he takes it in for the score. Touchdown, Iowa! Well, they started with horrible field position, but ended with perfect field position in the middle of the end zone.
It all comes down to execution, Reese. You've got to have guys going out and doing their jobs. You saw the offensive line up front. They were physical. Skilled players made it happen with the ball in their hands, and the quarterback really showed command on that last drive.
The kickoff unit is out there, and boy, did that last drive quiet this crowd. No return coming. He'll call for the fair catch. The drive starts from their own 25-yard line. I don't think that's the way they drew it up. Incomplete.
In football, you hear the term quick but don't hurry. And you can tell when you run these RPOs, the QBs want to make that decision quick. And I think he hurried it a little bit too much, got the ball out quick, but obviously was inaccurate with his pass.
After the incompletion, it's 2nd and 10 from their own 25. They'll leave it with him. A collision, and he stopped at the 27 after picking up 1.
And that run really didn't go anywhere. And a lot of times we don't focus on it enough. But how important those 5 guys are up front. To get on those defensive linemen, to try to move them out of the way, to get a run game going, it squarely falls on the shoulder of those 5 offensive linemen.
To throw, it's Levin. Rushes on him. And he will get home, and the quarterback goes down at the 17. The Sun Devils will try to pin them back with the punt. 3 and out, they got stuck in reverse. They hope the punt can bail them out. Hauls it in at the 40. Return's going to get it up around midfield. He'll be down at the 49-yard line. So first play of the drive coming here from their own 49. They'll try the run. And he'll pick up 1. It brings up 2nd and 9.
Run game is good. Balance is good. Now listen, if the run game isn't good, then you got to pass the football a little bit more. But sometimes you got to keep them honest, take them chunk by chunk.
As they get set to snap it, time winding down here in the quarter. 2nd down, they'll go to the air. Pocket breaking down. And it will be incomplete. This is some physical pass defense.
Yeah, and because of the pressure, the defense gets pressure on him immediately so quickly that he makes a bad decision, tries to throw it into double coverage. Really nice job pressuring the quarterback up front.
On 3rd and long, trying to have a big completion here. Fires to the big fella. He's going to come out just a bit short. It'll bring up 4th down from the 43.
Arizona State, 0.
This offense gets into plus territory. They're going to go for it regardless of their field goal kicker's range. On 4th down, trying to find his man. Fires to the tight end. Dragged down, but they'll move the sticks for a 1st down.
Nice execution by the offense on 3rd down, understanding what they had to do to get the 1st down, pass complete, move the sticks, new set of downs.
The Hawkeyes will snap it on 1st and 10. Looking downfield on 1st down. Here's a heat. Complete in the middle. And the defense makes the immediate tackle, but he has enough for the 1st down.
It is so good for an offense early in the game to get in a rhythm and to start stringing 1st downs together. It makes the game really easy and puts that defense in a situation where they're starting to get tired. They want to sub. They want to get other guys in the field. Stringing 1st downs together like this makes it harder to defend.
Picked up 2 yards on that last one. They need 8 on 2nd down. The play action fake. Bringing the heat. Had the pick in his hands and couldn't hang on, and you just won't see that from him very often. It'll be 3rd down.
There's a lot of QBs that when they get hit and when they get hurried and when they get pressured, they become very average. Really nice job by the defense pressuring the quarterback.
They're setting up the screen. That'll be enough for a 1st down, and they've got it at the 16-yard line. That is a time-honored way to slow down the rush, hit them with the screen, and a chunk play.
Yeah, such a great job because you're flying up the field to get to the quarterback because everything looks like pass down the field. Let those guys get up the field, throw it right behind him. He does a little bit of the rest, making some moves, getting upfield, making the big play.
And the Hawkeyes with a long way to go after the loss on the last play. Wants to go up top. Here comes the rush, and they've got it wrapped up at the 28.
Nice job by this defense here. They didn't do a good enough job on the last drive, but, man, we got to get to the quarterback, affect him, get him in predictable situations like you did right here now on 3rd and long.
Now a lot of work to do to move the chains, keep this drive alive after that earlier sack. Under fire. And he feels the heat coming in. It burns him up. Another sack.
And that's now their 3rd sack of the game. This is one of the best units in the entire country getting after the quarterback. They have done such a great job recruiting athletes up front and in their front 7. They can blitz, they can rush you with 4, with 3, but they've got dudes that can beat you one-on-one, and you're seeing that in this game.
The Hawkeyes will call on their punt team. This will be the 2nd time they've had to kick it away. And the coverage team down there to touch the ball. No return on this play.
And that is a huge play in terms of field position. Nice job by the punter. And how about the Gunners getting downfield to down that ball?
Let's see if this offense can get out of a hole as they start this drive at their own 8. They'll give it to the back. And he was greeted by a host of defenders and barely gets it back to the line of scrimmage.
This offense has really struggled, and I think you're just waiting for one play, one explosive play to happen to hopefully galvanize you a bit offensively. That's not the case, and there, they try to run the football in the first play of the drive, and it gets absolutely blown up for a loss.
Completes it in the middle. Makes the grab, but not quite enough for the 1st down, but a good gain on that play.
Man, it's so important when you play QB. I got to know when to put some air on it, and I got to know when to rocket that thing in there. Work in the middle of the field. He knew he needed to rocket, threw it in there. Great job, great catch.
They'll send the back in motion. Looking to pass. It's Levin. Oh, they really could have used that catch there. Physical pass defense. It brings up a fourth down.
You can just start to sense the frustration building for this offense after that incompletion. Right now, setting up fourth down. They haven't yet scored a touchdown. They just can't find a rhythm in this game. Obviously, the defense, the big reason for that. But if this offense wants a chance to win, they have got to start stringing some completions together and get this quarterback in a better rhythm.
They make the stop, and that is exactly what you want out of your punt cover unit. Plenty of time left in the half here as they take over, but they will want to be efficient here in the final 2 minutes. Using his legs, it's Moulton. And maybe he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, but no more than that.
Yeah, they're just going to need more push up front. There was nowhere for that running back to go. The offensive line got moved right back into his lap, and as a result, they lose yards on that.
And the quarterback will be slung down back at the 43. We got a timeout here late in the first half, and they'll try to get more points on the board before the break. Now a lot of work to do to move the chains, keep this drive alive after that earlier sack. On 3rd and long, you'll have to turn it loose deep. It's complete on the right side. He's stopped short, and it's 4th down.
You got to love that. On defense, one of the most critical statistics out there is how do you play on 3rd down? How do you prevent the opponent from keeping drives alive? Right there, tackling the catch. You gave up the completion. Whoop-de-doo. You've set up 4th and long. You're going to get the ball back. Go get some water and celebrate.
Is in the air. He's got it. Very little will make a crowd hold its breath like a punt return, and he brought them to their feet on that one. Here we go. They'll try to get something on the board here in the final minute of the first half. Looking downfield, it's Levin. Pressure coming. Can't find his man as he took a shot trying to deliver that football, and it'll be 2nd down.
The offense just has not been able to find a way to get their rhythm going here in the first half. We just haven't seen it in the passing game. That was a really good example of it again. If they're going to score more points in the second half, they've got to make some adjustments here at halftime.
Quarterback making checks. Wants to throw. He's working against the clock. Fires downfield. Just a hair too much on it from this big-armed sophomore quarterback.
And he finally missed one, right? I mean, he's been pretty hot, right? 5 passes in a row. He's been moving the ball around, different platforms, different receivers. Just done a really good job spreading the ball around, and he's human. He finally missed.
3rd and long, and he'll try to throw for it. That pass not close as he got drilled trying to deliver it, and it'll bring up 4th down.
It's amazing to think just how confident this offense was coming into this game. They thought they were going to go up and down the field throwing the football in this one. That has not been the case. They have not yet scored a touchdown in this one. They just threw an incompletion on 3rd down now, looking like they may have to punt. This offense has got to find their rhythm. But you've got to wonder about their confidence at this point of the game.
Inside 30 seconds to play in the half. We'll see how aggressive they are on this drive. Give to the back. Able to scrounge 3 yards out of that one somehow. It's 2nd and 7. The offense calls a timeout to stop the clock. Got 3 on 1st down. It's 2nd and 7. Now the play fake. Under fire. Pressure all over the quarterback, and down he goes at the 24.
How about this defense in this game so far? Already 5 sacks, and we're only in the second quarter. I think if you're the offensive coordinator, you have got to start mixing up these play calls, moving the pocket, get your quarterback away from danger, because it's obvious. This offensive line, they cannot hold up, and they cannot get it done.
That's going to wrap up the first half here, and now we join Kevin with the halftime update. We're just about ready to start the second half. And it'll come out to the 25. No attempt at a return. They'll put this one in play. First snap of the drive from the 25. They send the tight end in motion. He'll start this third quarter with a run. A collision, and he stopped at the 27 after picking up 1.
The big fella in the middle, man. Those defensive tackles, they go such a long way in deciding and really stopping the other team's run game. Just forcing contact with those guards and those centers, owning the line of scrimmage, and getting running backs on the ground.
The give to the back. He'll move it up to the 37-yard line, and it'll be a first down.
And here we go. If you're an offense, you got to get that ground game going so you can have some balance, and then you give it to your quarterback, Palmer, and let him make some plays down the field later on.
Yeah, exactly. And coming into this game, this offense knew they were going to have to some way, somehow, at least establish a semblance of a running game for exactly what you just said. You got to be able to use play-action pass later in this game to get some explosive plays down the field. And it's a play like that we just saw, which can help them get that going.
They've got it at the 37. It's 1st and 10. They'll ride the hot hand. Turning on the Jets. Stopped at the 47 after a 10-yard gain.
Well, obviously the offense went 3 and out on their last drive. They're having a little bit more success here. That was a nice run, and I think that's the key, guys. If they're able to run the football, they're going to be able to stay on the field. And I think that's something you want to think more about if you're the play caller on offense.
Caught in the backfield, it's Tyson. Didn't pick up a lot there, moved it forward just a few.
This slot receiver gives defensive coordinators nightmares. You have got to double him virtually on every pass play. He better have safety help over top. Otherwise, this guy's a threat to score every time they throw the ball.
Try to make up for some of that lost ground on second down. Tight end in motion, see how the D reacts. Receiver wasn't ready for the throw, incomplete.
You can sense the frustration building on the field and on the sideline for this team because on paper, they're the better team. From a player standpoint, from a record standpoint, things just not going their way in this game, and someone's going to have to step up and make a play to turn this thing around.
They're about to wear this punter out. He's already been out 4 times, staring at a 5th if they can't move the chains. Pulls it in. Smashes through the tackle. Really nice job to convert that 3rd down, and they've got it at the 33.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This offense had so much success in that first half, so in the 3rd quarter, they come out, and the quarterback looks like he's still dealing. This has been a really nice drive. That was a really nice throw. Just keep doing what you're doing if you're on offense.
This offense hasn't found the end zone yet. Starting to move, it's 1st and 10. They'll move the wide receiver. From the gun, he leaves it with the back. Not much there on the line. He gets 1 to the 31.
Man, it's really hard to control the running game if you don't control the line of scrimmage. And how about the defensive line doing a great job attacking those guys up front, not open up lanes to run through. Nice job just nullifying that run altogether.
To the air, it's Levin. Here comes the heat. And just left that pass short. Not enough juice on that one.
And you didn't have a lot of panic in the first half. But, man, you're starting to get now in the second half, and this offense just has really, really struggled, underperformed. You know you're a better team, but this offense hasn't shown it. This team hasn't shown it. It's the third quarter. They got to get it going now.
They've got to come up with a big play on this 3rd and long. From the gun, wants to pass. Trying to get behind the defense. Touchdown, Arizona State! Nice catch and good work afterwards to get it into the end zone.
Really nice job working the route, getting himself open, and he was able to locate the football, snag it out of the air, and this guy now has 5 receiving touchdowns on the year.
Extra point here will tie the game. The kick is good, but the penalty flag indicates we've got a roughing the kicker call coming. The officials offer the deal, and the coach accepts it. They will take the penalty. Kickoff unit is out there again, and this crowd is feeling themselves after that last drive. Just unloaded on that kickoff. Don't have to worry about a return on a kick like that. They'll bring it out to the 25. Off the play fake on 1st down. Flushed out of the pocket. And the rush will get to him at the 25.
You can just see the excitement this defense has every play. They're almost wishing this quarterback drops back to throw because they know they're going to get home to him. That's the 6th time they've registered a sack.
2nd down, they'll go to the air. He makes the grab. And he's able to shed 1 tackle and gets a pretty good pickup.
Our coach said to never go broke taking a profit. Take what's there, take the positive yards, and never complain.
And the Hawkeyes are facing 3rd and inches. They'll try to pick it up on the ground.
Big 3rd down conversion, getting the ball to your running back, and he does the rest. This guy, I think, will get a lot more touches.
And you want to know why he's on the field on 3rd down? Because he can block, he can catch the ball, and you can also hand it off to him, and he can go find the sticks and keep drives alive. What a weapon.
They're going to ride this running back. Able to pick his way forward for a decent game before the defense gets him down. Halfway there on 1st down, it's 2nd and 5. From the shotgun now, here's an inside give. Not much running room there thanks to this senior defender. The Hawkeyes come to the line on 3rd down, trying to keep this drive alive. Looking to throw for it. Incomplete. Looked as if he had his man, but just a misfire from this senior.
Another incompletion, and I've said that a lot, and these teams are just struggling. I mean, the offense just doesn't know what to do. Nothing's working, ground game, throw game. It's kind of been a rock fight on both sides.
Nice job to make the fair catch at the 16. Make sure that ball didn't bounce into the coffin corner. They'll get this drive going from the 17. And fired complete. They stop him almost immediately. Short gain there, and still a little ground to cover to pick up the 1st.
On defense, man, it helps you a lot when you can be a linebacker or a corner or safety, anybody, and you see the QB throw the football. Now I can break on the football right away and limit gains like right here on this play.
They'll run it from the gun. Defense makes the tackle, and that will probably be the final play of the third quarter. So we open the final period with a third down play. They'll try to drive ahead on 3rd and short. Got the first down and more. All down, but he has enough to move the chains.
And that's so tough as a defense because they only got to get inches. But I got to find a way to somehow get a knockback, stop the running back's feet right there. I couldn't do it. He gets downhill just enough, and he gets the first down.
It's a good job, too, there on 3rd down by the offense because a major statistic in football in terms of winning and losing is how good are you at staying on the field, keeping drives alive. Whether it's 3rd and long or 3rd and inches, you just have to go execute. They do it.
That's a really good job by the defense, wrapping them up, getting them on the ground, take away that run game, make them one-dimensional, put them in passing situations. Really good job by the defense.
Using his feet to buy time. At the 40, there he goes. Big gain on that one as he steps out of bounds with a first down. And the Sun Devils are rolling down the field. Dropping back, it's Levitt. Quick strike complete. He snagged it, but he'll be stopped short of the first down. Good, solid pickup on that play.
Man, this guy's going to need some water when he gets to the sidelines. They've been putting him to work on this drive, right? We've seen him toting the rock with success. Now you're seeing him get involved in the passing game, too. They are highlighting his versatility here on this drive.
Stop is made at the 8, but it'll be enough to set up a 1st and goal.
Nice job by the running back catching the football and understanding where the first down marker was. I got to go get that first down. He did a nice job of it.
And this offense is so close they can almost taste taking a 4th quarter lead. But they don't want to leave. Touchdown, Sun Devils! And they grab the advantage, taking the lead here in the 4th. Precision blocking up front created the open lane, and the running back followed it beautifully.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to follow an offensive line that makes those holes and just gives you a caravan all the way to the end zone. What an unbelievable job blocking up front.
On to attempt the try. The extra point is good, and now in the 4th, they're up by a touchdown and an extra point. We check in with Kevin Connors. What's going on, Kevin?
Guys, let's get you updated on a fascinating battle going down in the Pac-12. Northwestern is running away with this one behind an offense that's firing on all cylinders. They're up by 24 over Maryland. We'll keep you posted on things in this game that's sure to shake things up in the Pac-12. Guys?
Oh, and how about that? I know Kevin and those guys will be keeping an eye on it for us. The drive starts from their own 25-yard line. Takes the handoff. It's Moulton. Got room at the 35. He's loose. Made a defender miss. And after gobbling up some serious yardage and showing off those wheels, he's finally out of bounds.
This guy strikes fears into the hearts of every defensive coordinator, David, with that speed. If you give this guy any open grass, man, he's gone.
It's just silly. Look at the angles, people trying to catch him, but he's got so much juice. He can outrun those angles and make enormous plays.
Moving, keeping the eyes downfield. Nice job there to limit the running room, and they get him out of bounds after a short gain.
And that's a really good job by this defense, because remember, when the quarterback runs, now you got an extra blocker, because he's not just handing it off and standing there, and they still did a good job at the point of attack, kind of strung it along and made him run out of bounds.
Quickly out to the tight end. He's brought down, but it'll be enough for a first down. No reason to panic when you see those extra bodies coming. Just find the big tight end.
Well, and the great ones do that. The great ones are okay. You want to blitz? I know my answers. I'm all right. I'll stay patient. Find the matchup. This time it was the tight end. Finds the tight end, throws a strike, gets the first down.
Throws to the tight end. Got a man in the middle. Stop is made at the 8, but it'll be enough to set up a 1st and goal.
And that's a really good example of why offensive coordinators script plays. You know the down and distance, and you know which routes can get you to the stick. So there's no wasted time. That coordinator got the play in early to his quarterback, knowing that his players were going to be.
And the Heat gets there, and they get him down at the 14-yard line.
I think defenses sometimes get frustrated and you want to get blitz happy and because you give up yards. In this day and age, you're going to give up yards. Who cares? This is the area you got to bow up. Nice job on 1st down stopping them. A couple more downs here to stay aggressive.
Back to pass on 2nd down. Oh, they're after him. And he was hit just as he released it, and it falls to the turf.
And this is a tough time for this offense because you're in passing mode. You're in comeback mode, and what is that? The defense knows that. Like, they're pinning their ears back. They're coming after the quarterback, and you've already struggled protecting your guy today and creating those explosive plays. This offense is going to have to buckle up and really protect their guy up front.
If they can pay off this 3rd and goal opportunity, man, oh man, those collars start getting a little tight across the way. Can't make the grab as he was looking for his man right at the goal line.
Interesting call here for the head coach, too, because you need a touchdown. Now it's 4th and long. You could kick the field goal and cut into the lead, but it depends on how much you trust your defense right now. They may go for this one, guys.
Looking to throw. There's the pressure. Got enough space. He's brought down, but there's a flag on the field. Let's see what the call is. You can grab, but you can't hold on. A defensive holding penalty will give this offense a 1st down. And the Hawkeyes have it in scoring position on 1st and goal. The give to the back. He's brought down at the 7-yard line, and they are threatening to take it in.
Listen, the offensive coordinator's best friend in the red zone is the running game. Make guys commit near the line of scrimmage so I can throw behind. This defense is good, but I'm going to challenge them. I'm going to try to be the more physical team. I love the play call. I think you keep running the football and stay physical.
Defense rose up deep in its own end on that last play. Now a 2nd and long coming. Back to pass. Fires into the end zone. Had it in his hands for the score and let it fall to the turf. It'll be 3rd down.
You just got to know the situation of the game, obviously. After that incompletion now, setting up 3rd down, you've still got timeouts. You can attack the middle of the field. It's all out there for you. There's no need to panic. Because of those timeouts, you still have an eternity to get back in this game.
Looking to the end zone on 3rd and goal. Intercepted to stop the threat.
And that just kind of caps off this day. It's been a day with not a lot of rhythm, not a lot of timing, not a lot of guys on the same page, and they weren't right there, and the quarterback throws an INT, and this one is not looking good.
A lot of real estate in front of them as the drive starts at their own 6. They'll try to keep this clock moving on the ground. Defense uses a timeout quickly, trying to get that ball back and preserve time for their offense.
And ball security at this point is at a premium for this offense. You're backed up in your own end. You've got the lead, so you want to be able to run the football and stay on the field, bleed the clock. But you know the defense is going to be ripping away at it, right? They're going to be trying to get hats to the football and forcing a fumble. So whoever's got the ball has got to have 2 hands on it this drive.
Not much running room there thanks to this senior defender. Timeout called there by the defense, desperate to get the ball back and save as much time as possible. Now on 3rd down for this offense. Looking downfield, it's Levin. Unloads it left. He's got it. There he goes. Turning it on. They'll make the stop, but that first down off the ice, and they should be able to kneel this one out.
He's been a matchup problem all season long. Defenses just don't know how to solve the puzzle. And with that last catch, over 500 yards receiving now on the year for him.
The Sun Devils will line it up on 1st and 10.
Come on, set.
Leaves it with the back. And I think they'll give him 2 on that one. 2nd and 8 coming up.
It's a great play there by the defense, stopping that run. But now with less than a minute to go, you got to use your timeout. You got to try and conserve as much clock as possible to give yourself a chance to win.
After picking up a couple, it's 2nd and 8. They want to run it left here. And he was fortunate not to lose yardage on that play, able to wedge it back to the line of scrimmage.
Smart offense. I love it, man. Make them use that timeout. Run the football. I can run the football and let that clock now tick inside of a minute. I'm in great situation to win this football game. Just be smart and keep that thing running.
4-2 Spider. 4-2 Spider.
It's one thing to execute early in the game. Tight ball game, right at the end. You need the clutch plays. These guys deliver.
And you can't teach that gene. You have people that can focus in the moment or they can't. Great job by the team, staying focused, understanding it's a close battle, win those one play at a time, and then look up, and then, heck, I got the win.
Yeah, David, they just had ice in their veins, and you can tell there's tremendous leadership on this football team. Guys can step up, and in the huddle, they can make sure that everybody else is focused to the task at hand in order to get the W.
Thanks so much for spending some time with us. For David Pollack and Jesse Palmer, I'm Reese Davis, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football.